Welcome to the pink side. Her magic lipstick made me addicted. Now I can't take it off. I never imagined that a single tube of lipstick could change my life. Yet here I was, staring at my reflection, crimson gloss shimmering on my lips like a promise and a warning. My name is Alex, and until a few weeks ago, my life had been perfectly ordinary. I had a steady job in marketing, a modest apartment in the city, and Emma, my girlfriend, who I thought knew me inside out. I liked routines, quiet evenings with a movie, weekends exploring little cafes, and the occasional late-night video game session. But beneath it all, I had a secret. One I buried deep, one I had never revealed to anyone, not even Emma. I loved crossdressing. It wasn't just a hobby. It wasn't exactly a fetish. It was an identity I explored only in the privacy of my apartment. A silk blouse, a flattering skirt, some soft makeup. It was like stepping into another skin, someone lighter, freer, and somehow braver than Alex, the everyday version of myself. Every time I looked in the mirror, I felt a thrill, an exhilaration that was intoxicating. And yet, I had always kept it secret. I had convinced myself that Emma wouldn't understand, that no one would. That all changed the night Sophie entered my life. Sophie was Emma's best friend, a vibrant woman in her late 20s with an energy that commanded attention. She had this boutique downtown, a mix of makeup, fashion, and what she liked to call transformative accessories. I had been invited over to her place for a casual evening, a small gathering with Emma and a few friends. I expected nothing more than wine, chatter, and the usual laughter. But Sophie had other plans. Her eyes met mine the moment I stepped inside. There was a spark there, something I couldn't quite place. She held out a small, elegant tube of lipstick. "You'll want to try this," she said, voice low and teasing. "It's special." I hesitated. "Special?" She smiled knowingly. "Trust me, it changes everything." Emma, sensing my hesitation, nudged me gently. "Go on, Alex. You'll love it." I laughed nervously, but curiosity won. I uncapped the lipstick, its deep, velvety red glowing under the warm lighting of Sophie's boutique. The texture was smooth, creamy, and slightly cool against my lips as I applied it. In an instant, something shifted. My reflection stared back at me, bold, confident, and unrecognizable, yet undeniably me. Sophie leaned closer, her eyes glittering with amusement. "See? It suits you. But be careful. You might get addicted." I chuckled nervously, brushing it off as a joke, but deep down, I felt the truth in her words. The moment I looked in the mirror, I felt a thrill, a mix of fear and exhilaration that I had never experienced before. The lipstick was more than color, it was a catalyst. That night, back in my apartment, I couldn't resist touching my lips, admiring the way the deep red seemed to transform my entire expression. Emma noticed, raising an eyebrow. "You're staring at yourself a lot tonight." I shrugged, embarrassed. "Just feeling different, I guess." "Different how?" she asked, curiosity mingling with a playful smile. I hesitated. How much could I tell her? That a simple lipstick had unlocked something I had never dared to explore openly? That I felt alive, exposed, vulnerable, and powerful all at once? I smiled faintly. "I don't know. It's just fun." Emma didn't press further, but I knew she sensed something had changed. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept looking at the lipstick on my dresser, its deep red glow calling me, whispering promises I didn't fully understand. The next morning, I found myself reaching for it first thing, unable to resist the pull. Each application made me feel bolder, stranger, and more drawn into this unfamiliar identity. Days passed, and the lipstick became a part of me. I started experimenting more, matching outfits, subtle eye makeup, soft blush, each transformation making me feel simultaneously terrified and exhilarated. Emma noticed the small changes, commented on how confident I looked, how vibrant my energy seemed. But she didn't know the truth. I wasn't just trying a new style. I was becoming addicted to the transformation itself, to the thrill of being someone else, someone daring, glamorous, almost untouchable. Then came the moment I realized that Sophie's lipstick wasn't ordinary. It wasn't just makeup, it had a hold on me. I couldn't leave it off, not even for a moment. Every time I tried, my lips felt bare, incomplete, as if part of me were missing. The more I wore it, the more I wanted to wear it, and the more I explored my cross-dressing persona, the more I lost sight of the person I had been. Emma, blissfully unaware, continued to treat me the same way, complimenting me, encouraging me, unknowingly fueling my obsession. And I began to wonder, was I still Alex, or had the lipstick and my newfound passion started to change me into someone else entirely? Little did I know, the real test of my addiction and transformation was just around the corner. A series of events, challenges, and confrontations would push me to the brink, forcing me to confront my deepest fears, desires, and vulnerabilities. The lipstick, which seemed like a simple cosmetic, had become my key to a thrilling yet dangerous new world, and there was no turning back. The day after Sophie handed me that lipstick, I woke up with a strange sense of anticipation. My lips still tingled slightly, as though they remembered the way the crimson color had kissed my skin. I stared at the tube on my dresser, its metallic red casing glinting in the morning sun, and a thrill ran through me. The truth was, I wanted it. I needed it. Even before brushing my teeth or putting on a shirt, my fingers reached out and unscrewed the cap. As I applied it, I caught my reflection in the mirror. I barely recognized the person staring back at me. My lips were bolder, my face somehow softer, yet sharper all at once. I felt alive. The sensation wasn't just visual. It coursed through me, electrifying my body. My chest tightened with excitement, my heart raced, and a subtle shiver ran down my spine. I dressed carefully that morning, experimenting with something new, a fitted blouse Emma had gifted me months ago, paired with black skinny jeans. Normally, I had shrugged off her gifts, keeping them for casual wear. But now, with the lipstick on, I felt an urge to complete the transformation, to see myself fully as this other version of me. When Emma walked in, her eyes widened slightly. "Alex, you look different," she said, a mixture of curiosity and admiration in her voice. I smiled, trying to appear casual. "Just trying something new," I replied, though my voice carried a subtle tremor of excitement. She didn't pry, just nodded, and that tiny approval sent a jolt through me. The next few days became a careful routine of experimentation. I would leave for work in my normal clothes, but at night I explored. The lipstick became my anchor, my ritual. Every swipe across my lips was a step deeper into this thrilling, intoxicating world. I tried different outfits, skirts, soft blouses, fitted jackets, and slowly, the private reflection in my bedroom mirror became a performance I craved. But with this new thrill came a growing tension. Every time Emma texted to ask when I would come over, I panicked slightly. What if she noticed? What if she discovered the truth before I was ready? The lipstick, which had first felt like a harmless indulgence, now carried with it a sense of danger. My pulse would spike at the thought of being caught. It wasn't just Emma. I started noticing the effect the transformation had on me in public. A glance in a reflective surface, the subtle sway of my hips, the way my new persona projected confidence, it felt like I was walking a tightrope. Every step risked exposure, yet every step exhilarated me. The duality was intoxicating. The ordinary Alex by day, the bold, daring persona by night. One evening, Sophie invited me over again. This time, she had prepared a small makeup station with brushes, blushes, eyeshadows, and more lipsticks, each promising a new effect. I hesitated at first, unsure how far I wanted to go. But as soon as I touched the first brush, a familiar warmth coursed through me. Sophie watched me closely, smiling, almost as if she were reading my mind. "You're ready," she said softly. "You've felt it, haven't you? The thrill, the need." I nodded, though I couldn't fully articulate the mixture of fear and excitement twisting inside me. She handed me another tube of lipstick, a deeper shade this time, and whispered, "This one will take you further. Just don't fight it." I felt a shiver run down my spine. Her words, her knowing look, made the warning and the temptation equally powerful. I applied the new lipstick slowly, feeling the sensation amplify. My reflection now seemed almost alive, eyes sparkling, lips full, confidence radiating. I tried different poses, experimented with tilts of the head, gestures of the hands. Each movement reinforced the new identity creeping into every fiber of my being. Emma called that night, asking if I wanted to join her for dinner. My heart sank. Could I go out like this? Could I face her fully as this transformed version of myself? My mind raced, torn between the fear of being discovered and the thrill of embracing it fully. Finally, I swallowed, texted back, and said yes. The evening was a delicate dance. I walked into the restaurant, lipstick perfectly applied, outfit carefully chosen, heels clicking softly against the floor. Emma looked up from the table, her eyes widening slightly in surprise, and then softening into a smile. "Wow, you look amazing," she said, genuinely impressed. The compliment sent electricity through me. I could feel the duality of my identity intensifying, the ordinary Alex feeling exposed, vulnerable, and the transformed version basking in attention, craving more. I realized I had crossed a line. The lipstick wasn't just a tool anymore. It was a conduit, pulling me into a world I couldn't leave behind. By the end of the night, I was exhilarated but exhausted. Alone in my apartment, I stared at my reflection, lips still glowing red. The addiction was undeniable. I touched them, trying to imagine life without it, and felt a hollow emptiness. The idea of removing the lipstick felt wrong, almost painful. And deep inside, I knew the real challenge was coming. Sophie had opened a door, and I had stepped through it. The world I had entered was intoxicating, but it demanded more than just curiosity. It demanded surrender. Little did I know, the next steps would push me into situations I could never have anticipated. Temptation, exposure, suspense, and transformation that would blur the line between fear and desire, reality and identity. The following week became a blur of obsession and experimentation. I couldn't go a single day without the lipstick. Even at work, I found myself tracing my lips subconsciously, imagining the crimson hue over and over. Each glance in a reflective surface, office windows, computer screens, even my coffee cup, reinforced the transformation. I wasn't just wearing the lipstick anymore, it was wearing me, reshaping how I moved, spoke, and even thought. Emma noticed subtle changes. "You've got a certain glow lately," she commented one morning, her curiosity piqued but unspoken questions lingering in her eyes. I laughed nervously, brushing it off. "Just a good week, I guess." Her attention, her admiration, fed the thrill coursing through me. I had become addicted not only to the lipstick itself, but to the way it reshaped my confidence, my allure, my identity. Sophie invited me over again, this time for what she called a full transformation session. The moment I entered her apartment, my heartbeat quickened. The room was dimly lit, mirrors lined the walls, and an array of makeup and outfits lay meticulously arranged. Sophie's gaze held a mixture of amusement and expectation. "You're ready for the next step," she said, handing me a new lipstick shade, a darker, more intoxicating crimson. "This one will take you closer to the person you've been hiding." As I applied it, I felt a surge unlike anything before. The color was richer, deeper, almost alive on my lips. My reflection seemed to smolder back at me, eyes gleaming with confidence I didn't know I possessed. I experimented with outfits. A soft lavender blouse, a pencil skirt that hugged just right, heels that made my legs look endless. Every piece I wore amplified the transformation. My movements became more fluid, deliberate, seductive in a way that startled me. But with the thrill came tension. My dual life felt increasingly fragile. Every notification on my phone, every knock at my apartment door made me flinch. What if Emma, or worse, someone else, caught me like this? I began planning meticulously, rehearsing how to act, how to speak, how to exist as both Alex and this new version of myself. One night, alone in my apartment, I fully embraced the transformation. The lipstick glimmered under the soft lamplight. I tried different poses, turning, twisting, admiring the reflection. It was intoxicating, almost euphoric. My body felt lighter, my posture more confident, my voice softer yet commanding when I practiced speaking aloud. Then came the first taste of danger. A text from Emma. "Hey, I'm stopping by soon. Can't wait to see you." My stomach tightened. I wasn't ready. I hadn't planned to reveal this side of me. Not yet. Panic surged. I tried to wipe the lipstick off, but somehow it resisted, clinging stubbornly, as if it had merged with my very being. My hands shook. Sophie's warning echoed in my mind. "You might get addicted." I realized it wasn't just a joke. It was a truth I was only beginning to understand.
The doorbell rang.
My pulse thundered in my ears. I froze, caught between desire and fear, exhilaration and panic. I tried to calm myself, but the lipstick's hold made it impossible. It wasn't just color anymore, it was identity. I couldn't leave it off, not even for Emma. I opened the door. Emma's eyes widened. "Alex, you look." Her voice trailed off, curiosity and surprise mingling in her tone. I tried to smile, to act casual, but I could feel the tension radiating off her. She stepped inside, her gaze flicking to my lips, then to my outfit. "Wow," she said finally, softly. "You look different. Amazing." Her words sent a thrill through me, but also a spike of anxiety. Could she accept this? Did she see more than I was ready to show? My mind raced, but I maintained composure, guiding her to the sofa, masking my trembling hands. Later that night, alone again, I stared at the lipstick in my hand. It had become more than cosmetic. It was my obsession, my thrill, my cage, and my freedom all at once. I realized that each use pulled me deeper into a world I couldn't leave behind. Sophie's magic had me hooked, and the danger of exposure, of losing myself completely, loomed ever larger. The suspense built steadily. Each interaction with Emma, each reflection in the mirror, each text from Sophie was a test. I was addicted not only to the lipstick but to the transformation itself, the power it gave me, the thrill of this secret identity. And deep down, I knew the real challenge was just beginning. By now, the lipstick wasn't just a cosmetic, it was a lifeline, a mirror reflecting a version of myself I could no longer resist. Every morning, I reached for it instinctively, my fingers brushing the sleek tube as if guided by some invisible force. The crimson color seemed to pulse under my touch, almost alive, whispering promises I couldn't deny. Emma noticed more changes. Her glances lingered longer, her compliments carried an unspoken curiosity. "Alex, you're different." More confident, she asked one evening, her tone casual but her eyes sharp. I smiled nervously, a flicker of fear crossing my mind. Could I maintain the secret a moment longer? Sophie became a constant presence in my thoughts. I visited her boutique nearly every other day, drawn by the thrill of trying new outfits, experimenting with makeup, and embracing my fully transformed persona. Each session left me exhilarated and exhausted, a heady mix of empowerment and vulnerability. She taught me small techniques, how to tilt my head, the subtle curl of lashes, even how to walk in heels so my legs looked longer, more elegant. I was learning, evolving, addicted to the process. One night, alone in my apartment, I decided to push boundaries. I applied the lipstick thicker than usual, tracing over my lips with deliberate care. The deep crimson shimmered like molten fire, drawing my eyes in again and again. I paired it with a fitted dress Sophie had helped me choose, one that hugged my frame perfectly and flowed elegantly at the hem. Standing in front of the mirror, I barely recognized the person staring back at me. This wasn't Alex, the timid, cautious man who hid his secret. It was someone daring, glamorous, alive in a way I had only ever dreamed of. I practiced poses, expressions, even the tone of my voice, each adjustment deepening the thrill, cementing the identity that had taken over my mind and body. But the danger was real. The lipstick had begun to feel permanent, an invisible tether to this new self. I tried to remove it once, late one night, but it resisted, as if sewn into my skin. Panic rose in my chest. My heartbeat thundered as I realized that Sophie's warning, her playful, teasing words about addiction, was terrifyingly literal. Emma called while I was mid-transformation. Her voice on the phone was light, warm, but my stomach twisted in anxiety. She wanted to come over. I froze, torn between exhilaration and fear. Could I hide this fully now, in this state? Could I explain this obsession? Or worse, would she see through me, the lipstick, the entire transformation, and know? I paced my apartment, heart hammering, glancing at the mirror. The reflection was intoxicating. I was caught between two selves, the Alex who feared judgment, and the transformed persona craving attention, admiration, and the thrill of being someone else entirely. My hands shook as I reapplied the lipstick, the deep red now glowing like a warning light in the dim room. When Emma arrived, I forced a casual smile, trying to act normal. She tilted her head, eyes wide, lips parting in surprise. "Alex, you look different. Incredible." The word hit me like lightning. Her admiration was a thrill, but the closeness, the attention, made the risk of discovery unbearable. I could feel the tension in my chest, a mix of desire and dread. The night unfolded in a delicate dance of deception and desire. Emma talked about her day, laughed at my jokes, but her eyes occasionally flicked toward my lips, toward the outfit, as if testing my secret. Each glance sent shivers of fear and excitement through me. I realized then that the addiction wasn't just to the lipstick, it was to this dual existence, the thrill of being both adored and hidden. Later, alone again, I touched my lips, staring at the reflection. The lipstick had become a part of me, inseparable from my identity. I experimented further, trying bolder outfits, more dramatic makeup, each step pulling me deeper into Sophie's world. I felt alive, yet trapped, exhilarated, yet anxious. The suspense was unbearable. Each knock on the door, each text from Emma, each reflection in a mirror reminded me that my secret could shatter at any moment. Yet I couldn't stop. The addiction, the transformation, the thrill of being caught, it had consumed me. I realized that this was only the beginning. The real challenges, the tests of identity and control, were still ahead. And deep inside, a voice whispered, was I still Alex, or had the lipstick, Sophie, and this obsession already changed me irreversibly? It started as an ordinary evening, or at least, that's what I tried to convince myself. I had spent the entire day planning the perfect transformation. The lipstick was applied with meticulous care, its deep crimson gleaming under the soft light of my apartment. My outfit, a fitted burgundy dress that Sophie had picked out for me, hugged my body in all the right places. The heels clicked sharply on the floor as I paced, rehearsing the poses, gestures, and expressions I would need if Emma came home early. I was alone, or so I thought. A sudden knock at the door made me freeze. My pulse skyrocketed. Who could it be? It wasn't Emma's usual rhythm. I tiptoed to the peephole, heart hammering, and saw a neighbor, someone I barely knew, standing there with a small package. Relief and dread collided. Relief that it wasn't Emma, dread that someone else had seen me in this state. I quickly opened the door, forcing a casual smile. "Hey, thanks. I wasn't expecting anything today." The neighbor handed me the package, eyes flicking briefly toward my outfit, toward my lipstick. I felt a shiver of fear. Could they tell? Did they notice the transformation? I forced myself to nod and take the package, slamming the door behind me as quickly as possible. Alone again, I leaned against the wall, trembling. The lipstick felt heavier than ever, almost suffocating. Sophie's words echoed in my mind. "You might get addicted." I had underestimated her warning. The thrill, the obsession, the dual identity. It had become a dangerous game, and one misstep could shatter everything. Later that night, Emma called unexpectedly. "Hey, Alex, I'm home early. Can you come over?" My stomach dropped. I glanced in the mirror. My reflection stared back with a mixture of allure and fear. Could I face her like this? Could I maintain the balance between the exhilaration of transformation and the terror of being discovered? I arrived at her apartment, each step in heels a deliberate act of confidence, masking my inner panic. Emma opened the door, and her eyes widened. Alex, wow. You look. She hesitated, eyes flicking to my lips, to my dress, to the way I carried myself. Incredible. Her words sent a thrill through me, but the fear of exposure tightened like a vice around my chest. Every laugh, every glance, every compliment became a test. I was living on the edge, addicted to the lipstick, to the transformation, to the danger. Later, alone in my apartment, I stared at my reflection once more. The lipstick was no longer just color, it was identity. I couldn't remove it, even if I wanted to. And the realization hit me with terrifying clarity. Sophie's magic had trapped me, and the closer I got to Emma, the greater the risk of being caught. That night, I made a promise. To myself, to the lipstick, to this thrilling new persona, I would navigate this dangerous obsession, no matter what it cost. The days that followed were a blur of tension and exhilaration. I couldn't leave the lipstick alone, and each swipe seemed to pull me deeper into the persona Sophie had helped me discover. My apartment had become a sanctuary and a cage at once, a place where I could explore, but also where danger lurked at every reflection. Emma had been more attentive lately, her compliments more frequent, her curiosity subtly probing. "Alex, you're glowing lately," she remarked one evening, eyes soft but searching. My pulse spiked. Could she see more than I intended? The thrill of being admired clashed violently with my fear of being discovered. Sophie invited me over again for another session. This time, the room was dimly lit with soft pink and golden hues, mirrors lining the walls like watchful eyes. "Tonight, you'll push the boundaries," she whispered, handing me a lipstick so dark it seemed almost black under the lights. "You won't just transform, you'll disappear into this persona." I applied it slowly, savoring the sensation, feeling the color sink into me, merging with my very being. My reflection stared back, confident, alluring, almost untouchable. I paired it with a sleek satin dress and stilettos that made my legs seem impossibly long. Every gesture, every tilt of my head, every movement was deliberate, practiced, hypnotic. But the danger was closer than I realized. As I admired myself in the mirror, the doorbell rang. My heart leapt into my throat. Emma? No. It was my landlord, early and unexpected, with a maintenance issue. My hand shook as I opened the door, trying to appear casual, my transformed persona intact. Hey, just a quick check on the pipes," he said, glancing around my apartment. My makeup, my outfit, the way I carried myself, it was all on display. I swallowed hard, praying he didn't notice the subtle details that revealed how far I had gone. "Everything's fine," I managed to say, my voice tighter than usual. He nodded, made a perfunctory remark about scheduling repairs, and left. Alone again, my knees shook. The close call had intensified my addiction and fear simultaneously. I touched the lipstick on my lips, feeling the pulse stronger than ever. Sophie's warnings were no longer just caution. They were reality. That night, Emma texted me, "Hey, can I stop by? I really want to see you." My chest tightened. Could I face her again like this? I debated ignoring the text, but the thrill of being seen in full transformation was too strong. I replied, agreeing to meet her at her apartment. When I arrived, the tension was palpable. Each step in heels felt like a tightrope walk. Emma opened the door, eyes widening in shock and admiration. "Alex, you're stunning," she whispered. The words sent a shiver down my spine, a mix of validation and dread. We sat together, talking, laughing, but every moment was electric with the possibility of exposure. A sudden knock at the door froze me mid-gesture. My heart raced. Another neighbor? Sophie? Or something worse? I glanced at Emma, whose curiosity seemed to heighten rather than diminish. I opened the door cautiously. It was Sophie, unexpectedly visiting with new makeup samples. Her eyes sparkled as she took in the scene. "You're perfect," she said softly. "But remember, the lipstick is more than it seems." Emma raised an eyebrow, curiosity flickering in her gaze. My pulse hammered as I realized the situation was spiraling. The magic of the lipstick, my transformation, and the people around me, all converging into a tense, unpredictable storm. I excused myself to the bathroom, gripping the sink as adrenaline coursed through me. The reflection in the mirror stared back, lips crimson, eyes wide, hands trembling. I realized that the thrill, the obsession, the danger, it had consumed me entirely. And in that moment, I understood. There was no turning back. The lipstick wasn't just a tool anymore. It was my identity, my addiction, my thrill, and my risk. And the next moments would test everything I had become. The night had a charged, almost electric quality. I could feel it in every nerve, every breath I took. The lipstick had become more than just a color on my lips. It was an extension of myself, a conduit to a persona I could no longer separate from reality. My reflection stared back at me from the mirror, a stranger, yet undeniably me. Lips glowing, eyes sharp, posture poised, and Emma had invited me over again, insisting she wanted to spend some quality time. My stomach twisted with equal parts excitement and dread. Could I maintain the facade? Could I keep the magic, the thrill, and the secret intact? Every step toward her apartment felt like walking a tightrope over a pit of fire. When I arrived, Emma opened the door with a warm, expectant smile. Her eyes swept over me, lingering on the deep crimson of my lips, the fit of my dress, the subtle sway of my hips. "Alex, you look incredible," she breathed. Her voice was soft, admiring, yet tinged with curiosity that made my pulse spike. We settled into the living room, the conversation light, yet every laugh, every gesture, every glance carried a tension I could almost taste. I felt the lipstick pulsing on my lips, a physical reminder of how far I had gone, how much I had embraced this other self. Then came the knock at the door. My heart lurched. Not again, who could it be this time? Emma frowned, stepping aside. I forced a casual smile, trying to maintain the confidence the lipstick promised. It was Sophie. She held a small, velvet box in her hand, eyes gleaming with mischief. "I thought you might need a little reinforcement," she said, her voice low and hypnotic. The room seemed to shrink, the air charged with electricity. Emma's eyes narrowed slightly. "Who's this?" she asked, curiosity and caution mingling in her tone. My pulse hammered. How much did she see? How much did she suspect? Sophie stepped closer, her presence magnetic. "Just someone helping Alex explore their full potential," she said smoothly. My stomach flipped. This was no longer a simple transformation. It was a test, a confrontation, a challenge I wasn't sure I could meet. The next moments were a blur of adrenaline and fear. Sophie opened the velvet box, revealing a set of new lipsticks, colors deeper, darker, almost hypnotic in their intensity. "Choose," she whispered. "This will take you further than you've ever been." I hesitated, my hands trembling. Each color promised transformation, thrill, and risk. Emma watched silently, a flicker of suspicion in her eyes. The tension was unbearable. One wrong move, one glance, one slip, and my secret, my addiction, my entire dual identity could be exposed. I selected a shade, a deep, almost black crimson, and applied it carefully. The moment it touched my lips, a shiver ran through me. The reflection in the mirror seemed to shimmer, alive, almost sentient. I could feel the persona I had created, the confident, bold, glamorous version of myself, locking in completely. Emma leaned closer, her eyes wide. "Alex, are you okay? You seem different." The word different carried a weight I couldn't ignore. I smiled, nodding, forcing a casualness I didn't feel. The thrill of being admired, the danger of being discovered, the intoxicating power of the lipstick, all collided in a single moment. Suddenly, my heel caught on the rug. I stumbled, reaching out to steady myself, heart racing. My hands trembled, my reflection flickered in the mirror, and for a split second, the duality of my existence was exposed. Alex, vulnerable, ordinary, and the transformed, bold persona all at once. Emma gasped softly, her eyes widening. Sophie's lips curved into a knowing smile. The tension was unbearable. I realized then that the lipstick had done more than transform my appearance. It had ensnared me completely. My identity, my obsession, my secret, it was all on the edge of exposure. I steadied myself, breath ragged, heart pounding, and tried to regain composure. The room was silent except for the faint sound of our breathing. The stakes had never been higher. One wrong move, one faltering word, one moment of hesitation, and everything would be revealed. And then, the doorbell rang again. My pulse nearly stopped. Another visitor? A neighbor? Emma's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. Sophie's eyes sparkled, a hint of mischief and warning in her gaze. I realized with a jolt, the next moments would determine everything. The lipstick, the persona, the obsession, the secret, all balanced on a knife's edge. I could feel the power, the thrill, and the danger in every fiber of my being. The room seemed to close in around me. Every heartbeat echoed loudly. Every glance, every breath carried the weight of discovery. I knew, deep down, that nothing would ever be the same. The doorbell rang again, louder this time, echoing through the apartment like a drumbeat of impending doom. My heart pounded against my ribs, each beat louder than the last. I froze in place, glancing at Emma and then at Sophie. Emma's expression was a mixture of curiosity and concern, while Sophie's eyes gleamed with that unsettling, knowing mischief. I wanted to scream, to run, to wipe the lipstick from my lips and disappear, but I couldn't. The crimson had become part of me, a permanent mark of who I had become. My hands trembled, hovering near my face, as though touching it might undo the transformation that had taken over my life. Emma leaned slightly forward, eyes narrowing. "Alex, who's at the door?" Her voice was calm, but the subtle tension underlying it made my pulse spike. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile I wasn't sure I could maintain. "Just someone delivering something," I said, my voice tighter than I intended. But Sophie's knowing glance reminded me I couldn't back down, not now. The doorbell rang again, insistent. My pulse raced. I could feel the persona I had built, the confident, alluring, transformed Alex, straining against the panic threatening to shatter everything. One wrong move, one faltering step, and it would all collapse. Emma stood, her expression curious but cautious, and walked toward the door. I followed, heels clicking sharply against the floor, the sound echoing in my chest like a warning. My reflection in the hallway mirror caught my eye, lips glowing crimson, eyes wide with fear and excitement, posture poised yet trembling. I was both myself and someone else entirely, and the line between the two had never felt thinner. Emma opened the door. A shadowed figure stood there, someone I hadn't expected. My heart nearly stopped. Recognition flashed across her face, and my stomach plummeted. It was my coworker, someone I saw daily at the office, but now the tension between public and private identities collided in a terrifying instant. Their eyes flicked to me, taking in my outfit, the lipstick, the full transformation in a single, devastating glance. "Oh, hi, Alex," they said slowly, voice catching slightly. Didn't expect this." I felt my knees weaken. The persona I had clung to, the bold, confident, transformed Alex, flickered under the pressure. My hands shook. Sophie's voice echoed in my mind. "The lipstick is more than it seems." I realized it now, fully and horrifyingly. It wasn't just transformation, it was addiction, it was identity, and it was now dangerously visible. Emma's gaze flicked between us, and I felt my throat tighten. "Alex, what's going on?" Her voice was calm, yet I could hear the edge of suspicion and worry. I opened my mouth, trying to respond, but the words caught in my throat. The lipstick, the obsession, the thrill, the danger, it had taken control. I wanted to explain, to beg for understanding, but the reality of exposure, the fear of judgment, and the intoxicating pull of the persona all collided in one overwhelming wave. The coworker's expression shifted subtly. Curiosity, intrigue, a hint of amusement, and my pulse raced even faster. I realized that this moment could define everything. My secret, my obsession, my dual identity. It was all teetering on the edge. One wrong word, one misplaced gesture, and it would all unravel. Sophie stepped slightly forward, her presence magnetic and unnerving. "Remember," she whispered softly, "this is just the beginning." I wanted to retreat, to remove the lipstick, to flee back into the safety of my apartment, but I couldn't. The crimson had become inseparable from me, a mark of my addiction and my transformation. And as I stood there, frozen, trapped between fear and desire, I knew that my life had changed irreversibly. Emma's voice broke the silence. "Alex, what have you done?" Her eyes searched mine, a mixture of shock and fascination. The doorbell rang again. I froze. Another visitor? Another test? Another exposure? My heart thundered, adrenaline surging through my veins. And then it hit me, no matter what happened next, there was no turning back. The lipstick, the transformation, the obsession, the thrill, and the danger. They had me completely, and the consequences of this moment would ripple through every part of my life. I swallowed hard, crimson lips glistening, hands trembling, and realized with a mixture of terror and exhilaration that my secret life had become dangerously public. I could feel eyes on me, Emma's, Sophie's, and the co-workers, and the weight of their attention pressed down like a physical force. The doorbell rang once more, insistent, echoing through the apartment like a drumbeat counting down to something inevitable. And in that instant, I knew my world had changed forever, and the next moment could either reveal everything or push me further into the addictive, thrilling, dangerous persona I could never leave behind. I froze, heart racing, lips crimson, and waited.